Okay team, it's time for the final wiring of the YZ mechanism. So at the moment, a few of these cables are really short. And they've got to make it all the way across this print head, then back down the shaft. So for this adventure, we're going to need some zip ties. You're kind of used to that by now, I'm guessing. We are going to need all of the leftover cables, which includes your Z probe extension, which is this 3-pinned one, and the 3 other extension cables that came in the wiring pack. 1, 2, 3. And you're also going to need your cable management. And we're going to use this to contain all the cables neatly when we get there. But first step is we need to connect the cables up to this end. So the first cable we're going to connect is the Z probe cable, which is the 3-pinned one that's got this strange, very pointy end on it. Mine's red, white and black, but you might also get one that's blue, brown and black. It connects onto the end of the Z probe in here. But you have to be careful which way you connect this guy on, because if you connect it on backwards, it will damage your Z probe. If you've got black, brown and blue, then you simply match the colours up. If you've got the red, white and black, you need to make sure the red lines up with the black, and at the bottom the black lines up with the blue. Once connected, you'll have on this side at the top red, white, black, and this side from the top black, brown, blue. Once that's done, this cable's ready to put out the way and move on to the next cable. Bob, please don't eat tissues. No, they're not healthy. They're not in the food pyramid. Okay, we've got 3 more wires to connect. We've got to connect the fan, we've got to connect the extruder heater and the extruder temperature sensor. So if you find the cable that's got the 2 pointy ends on it, very similar to the probe, this is the fan wire. So straighten it out, get it all under control. Once it's under control, then grab this guy at the end of your fan and simply join them together. So you might have to squeeze them together a little bit to get them to fit in, but then once they're connected, they should make a very secure joint. And put that guy aside. Now the last 2 connect are the probe ones, and they're quite easy. This black and white one here connects onto the thermistor of the probe. It simply just clicks on. And this red and black one connects onto the heater element of the probe. Now, they're keyed, so there's only one direction they'll actually go on, and they just click on, done. Looking very nice. Now it's time for a little bit of cable management. There's a little tiny hole here in the top of the left fan mount that we're going to try and get this zip tie through. Ooh, it's pretty annoying, but if you put him through sideways then twist him around, he should come round to the party. There, look at that, fantastic. Now we're going to make sure your extruder's got a little bit of extra wire, and then we're going to take all of these wires from the front, so the 2 extruder wires, the fan wire, making sure you leave a little extra wire for the fan, and the stepper motor wire, and of course the Z probe wire. So this huge bundle of wires, making sure they've all got just a little bit of room to wiggle. We've got to get all of them into this zip tie. So most of them come across the bottom, then back around the zip tie. Actually, I'll bring him up so you can see what he's up to. So the Z probe and the stepper motor come around the bottom and over the top of the zip tie. The fan again around the bottom over the top of the zip tie, and these 2 extruder wires go straight into the zip tie from there. Make sure there's a little bit of slack on these, which will make it easy if you need to take your hot end off and on. Make sure there's a little bit of slack on the fan as well, because you're going to be taking the fan off once you've printed your fan duct, and then zip tie it all together. And just wiggle that zip tie down until they're held in place. There you go. Look at that. The next step is grab your tape and mark the ends of these two stepper motors, because the stepper motor connectors are identical. The one at the back here is your Z stepper, because this is the one that's going to move your printer bot up and down. So on this guy, put a little Z. And this stepper motor at the front, if you haven't guessed what it's up to yet, pretty easy to guess. This is the stepper motor that controls your extruder. So this stepper motor extrudes all the plastic that's going to get laid down by your printer. So for this one, we'll put a letter E on it. E for extruder. Now, with that done, it's time to start some serious cable management. Move the XZ carriage all the way back. So it's important that this is as far back as it goes. Then bring the cable, your massive cable tree across, and zip tie it on here where it meets the other one. So you want to make sure that before you do this up, you want to make sure that this cable tree here doesn't need to be loose, but needs the tiniest bit of slack, just so the cables aren't pushing and pulling against each other. You can see as this moves up, they're going to get shorter. And as it moves back, they're going to get longer. Before you go any further, it's a good idea to check this end stop up the top here. When your carriage slides forward, it should touch this stepper motor. Now, for various reasons, it may not quite get there. The most common one will be the zip tie that you've used on this pulley belt is too close. So in mine, when I slide it forwards, it's touching that zip tie before the switch gets a chance to act. So what I'm going to have to do is rotate that zip tie around if I can, and it won't, so I'm going to have to remove that zip tie and replace it with one that's slightly closer to the wooden block. Take this wooden block here, you can see my zip tie here is hanging out this side. That's no good, so I'll replace it with a zip tie underneath that one. It's much closer to the block, and one that doesn't hang out anywhere near as far. With that done, it's time to get rid of the old zip tie. The annoying zip tie. Be careful not to cut the cable. And with him gone, this one properly tightened, it's time to put this guy back. Solved. Now back onto our cable mode. Let's check this guy. We'll see how that goes when it's running. Now get your cable management tube, and starting at this end, you need to wrap it around all the cables. So unwind it a little, clip it on. and then carefully wind it over all of these amazing cables. Pretty soon these cables will start looking much, much cooler. The hardest part is when you get to this join, making sure the cable management jumps from one set onto the second set of cables. If you do that right, then you'll end up with a really nice join. And continue wrapping on your super duper cable bundle. That is our managed cable. How good does that look? Perfect. The last step we have to do is take your base, carefully slide this on until it touches the threaded Acme rod. Line the Acme rod up with that little Derrilin screw, and then carefully twist the rod so that the print head mounts properly and the rods come out the top of these bearings. Once the rods have come out the top of the bearings, it's time to stop. Put a drop of oil on this Acme rod, wind it back and forward a couple of times to get the oil in there. Because threaded rods love oil. And stop. Wiring's done at the top, the only thing left to do is the wiring down the bottom.